Well, remember all of the Democratic dreams of remaking the nation, of packing the Supreme Court, of adding Washington, D.C. as a state, of adding Puerto Rico as a state, of enacting the Green New Deal, of raising taxes through the roof, of ending the filibuster in the Senate. All of that depended on Democratic control of the House and the Senate, plus Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House. And that whole package is not going to happen. The whole Senate thing didn't work out. It appears that Democrats are not going to take control of the Senate. In spite of spending unbelievable amounts of money, they spent $109 million in South Carolina. I mean, they could have bought all the TV stations and more in South Carolina, just use those as Democratic outlets. But they spent all this money and it didn't work. So that is huge. Now, on the presidency, what can you say? I've been listening to your analysis, doing my own, listening to other things. Trump obviously has to keep Georgia and North Carolina.
And Pennsylvania.
He looks like he's going to win Pennsylvania. So then, what he has to do is win either Michigan or Wisconsin, both of which might be just beyond reach, or Nevada, which I didn't expect that we'd be talking about Nevada as a possible route to victory for Trump. But there it is. And the weird thing is I'm sure you've been reporting, officials in Nevada said they're not going to release any more results until tomorrow. So Nevada is just the whole story is just going to kind of sit there for 24 more hours. But it is a fact, if you look in these rural areas of Nevada, they're not large amounts of votes, but they're hugely pro-Trump.
And that means when you're down really 7,600 votes, there is an opportunity for one error anywhere. They've got to flood the state with lawyers, Byron. That's where Donald Trump's path is, Pennsylvania and Nevada. Although Scott Walker just tweeted out, the former governor of Wisconsin, election recount procedures in Wisconsin. And so he knows there's going to be a recount there.
Exactly. I mean, these states are incredibly close. And first of all, that's a huge disappointment for all the Democrats, and they were out there who thought there would be a landslide. There were Democrats who were perhaps too credulous who believed in that. There were resistance types who believed in that. There were never Trump types who believed in that because they thought a Biden landslide would destroy the Republican Party, and then they, the never Trump remnant, could come back and reconstitute, rebuild the Republican Party the way it used to be when they had more influence in it. But none of that happened. I mean, none of that happened. Whatever happens, we know now. If Trump wins, it will be a razor-thin victory, and if Biden wins, it will be a razor-thin victory. So it's impossible at this moment to figure out how this is going to shake out. But you're absolutely right. Nevada, look at Nevada, and then look at possible litigation and recounts in some of these really close upper Midwest states.
I don't know that Michigan will be close enough to do that. I don't think Pennsylvania will be close enough for the Democrats to argue about it. I don't think Georgia and North Carolina are going to close. But I do want to look at the Senate with you, Byron, because to me, Mitch McConnell is now the conservative firewall, and his coalition, he's got to hold it together, including Lisa Murkowski. Susan Collins is at 50.55%. I believe she's going to win outright. We don't have to go to that crazy second choice voting system, but she'd win anyway. I believe Perdue is ahead and will stay ahead. And I don't think John James has enough of a kick to close here. I could be wrong. We'll wait and see what Detroit says about John James. But with 52, because we picked up Alabama, lose Martha McSally. If it stays that way, lose Cory Gardner. It's a net -1. Does Mitch McConnell have the steel? Does he have the confidence of the caucus, along with the Supreme Court, to basically divide the government? Now, the executive branch is more numerous. There are 4,300 people, and you control the government. But the House is fractious. Nancy Pelosi's majority is down lower than it ever was, with Democrats worried about a Democrat. If it's Joe Biden in the White House, they got to worry about getting wiped out We're not going to see Medicare for all. We're not going to see
No.
nothing. Nothing's going to happen. We are going to grind along this fault line in American politics. And Josh Hawley tweeted out last night, we are now, the Republicans, a working class party. And I agree with him. We've got to be about wage growth, not regulation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about this. All of these Democratic dreams depended on unified control of Congress. And without it, they can't kill the filibuster in the Senate. They don't control the Senate. And the House can do what it wants. I mean, the House can, I mean, look, we saw the House impeach the president on a party line vote because they wanted to. So they do whatever they want, but it's just not going to become law. And I mean, you have to remember, a lot of Democrats thought they could use this moment. They thought that there was an unprecedented weakness in President Trump, and that America would repudiate him in a landslide, and then the Democrats would benefit with unparalleled control of the House and the Senate. They would then get rid of that pesky filibuster, and then you can do a lot of stuff if you.
They were going to attack the court, Byron.
They
were going to attack the Supreme Court and thus the rule of law. And
Absolutely.
so what I want to ask you now, I'm already thinking about this. Assume for a moment that it's a Biden presidency, that he's president-elect, and Donald Trump will not do anything crazy. I know he gave a speech last night that upset some of the talking heads, but my God, what I would have done is gone out and say the polling in the United States is so broken that people stayed home in Wisconsin who would have voted. It's not, if you were going to play Democratic hardball, you'd call the Biden, quote, win illegitimate because the polling suppressed the vote, right? That's the line you would take if you wanted to ape Democrats. But let's not ape Democrats. Let's say it is a divided government with the Supreme Court, 6 conservatives, with the Senate and Mitch McConnell. There's a deal to be done. He doesn't have to confirm one Biden judge, not one, because they did so much to obstruct district court judges. They did so much to obstruct the 3 Supreme Court nominees. And Mitch has got the spine for it, I think. I think they're going to have to make an agreement to get anything done with Mitch McConnell if Joe Biden wins. And I'm not uncomfortable. That's not the disaster that I was looking at 3 days ago.
No. And you're absolutely right. Mitch McConnell could stop anything. I mean, remember the first thing that the Democrats nuked the filibuster was for executive branch appointments. But still, the Senate will be in Republican hands. So, I mean, staffing the executive branch will undergo a lot of scrutiny under a President Joe Biden. But look, also the bigger concern is, and I've been saying this since 2015, Joe Biden is going to turn 78 years old. Today's the 4th, and 16 days from now. So he'll be 78 when he's sworn in. Will turn 80 before his term is half over. Has clearly slowed down. A lot of people were worried. They know that Kamala Harris was the most leftist senator in the Senate, and as Trump has shown, a willful executive has a lot of power. They can do a lot of things through executive orders. They can do it and challenge Congress to stop them, and maybe Congress will, and maybe Congress won't. So this is I understand you're saying that Republicans dodged a bullet in the sense of losing the Senate, but still a willful executive, especially a Kamala Harris and almost a co-presidential role, could do a lot of damage from a Republican point of view.
They could. I'm a half glass full. Worst case scenario, we are not losing the rule of law by expanding the Supreme Court. We are not losing the Senate by adding states willy-nilly, and the Democrats will have to come into 2022 with a Biden-Harris White House that is going to be feckless in its recklessness. And polling is completely discredited, Byron. I mean, do you agree with me on that? Polling is completely discredited?
Yeah, absolutely. I all of us were more cautious after 2016, and yet they did it again. So it's really bad.
They did it again. They affected the outcome of the election, but we will play by the rules. Republicans always do. We're rule of law people. Byron York, good to talk to you. Coming right back with some of your phone calls.